Welcome to my latest Zoomcast. This is PGA golf professional John Abendroth, and we have an eclectic group today. We have Kirk Triplett, who many of you will recognize even without his distinctive headwear, getting ready for a practice session. Good morning, Kirk. Thank you for having a moment to join me.
Thanks for having me, John. Good to catch up.
Yeah, exactly. And great stuff. A lot of Bay Area ties where I'm based, and then we have speaking of eclectic, we have Steve Chwan, the executive director of both the Pure Insurance and the AT&T. He's doing a critical site visit. Let's call it that. Started early. He got the emergency call last night to get out and check out the golf course. And good morning, Steve.
Good morning, John. How are you?
Doing well.
The Pure is in week after next, and I had to make sure the greens are in good condition. So it's mandatory site visit. I'm checking. Kirk, I'm actually doing you a favor. I'm going to give you there's some new reads out here I'm going to give. I'll pass it on to you.
All right. Looks like you're a little over the fifth green there.
Actually, I hit it left there. It was not a good shot. So I missed the putt, and I walked over to six. And the group I'm playing with, Ryan Smith, you probably met Ryan Smith at one point, Qualtrics. Maybe. And then
sure. Yeah.
Murray Demo's on our board. He plays plays in the Pure. Good guy, plays in AT&T. Nice to see you, Kirk. Look forward to seeing you week after next.
Can't wait to get up there. It's my favorite place.
I know. I'm walking in on a review because you walk every year in the PBI.
Yep.
Kirk, as I look back at your record, you're giving Mark O'Meara and Phil Mickelson a run with your successes at Pebble, with 3 wins in the senior version, the Pure Insurance, and you won the Pebble Beach Invitational. And we were just chatting before I hit the record button about things like the NCGA Amateur and such. So you got to be happy when this tournament comes around every year.
Well, I always look forward to going up there. The courses are fantastic, but the people that are drawn to the peninsula for those golf tournaments, it's just a great week to be around those people. I mean, reaching back to the AT&T, and there was the celebrity aspect to it, which is neat. But when you played with somebody at the AT&T, you were playing with somebody that was pretty successful in some other walk of life. So 3 days of golf with someone that's very interesting to get to know. I always enjoyed that aspect of the tournament as well. And then as you look to the Pure event with the juniors and the amateurs, I think that's a big reason for my success up there on the Champions Tour. Is I just love being with the kids, sort of not an overt mentor relationship, but just the idea of sharing some competitive golf with a young person. I just get a lot out of that.
Well, and imagine what the kids would be saying right now. You have that admiration for that, and imagine what admiration the kids come away with, and talk about a life-changing experience. It's just amazing. And Steve, when this all started, the first tee had already been going for a while, and all of a sudden when this format was adopted, I remember saying on our radio show, my gosh, this is such a have-to thing, and it's almost a surprise it wasn't thought of sooner. But my goodness, what a great thing that it's become.
Yeah, Ollie Nutt was behind that, John. He's the original. He's the co-founder of the first team Monterey County, and really came up with this idea of putting juniors with the PGA Tour champions. And what an experience! The mentorship that takes place during the week is phenomenal. And Kirk's done such a great job to stay in touch with his juniors in the past. And he's such an advocate of the tournament and the format and everything about it. I laugh at one point. I think you said this last year, Kirk. Why don't we have the leaderboards out here pro junior instead of just pro? And that's a great idea. I mean, it really is. It's truly about the juniors and what they're going to do in their life. And they're learning so much from the PGA Tour champions, and along with the amateurs, as you mentioned, Kirk. You can't walk into a CEO's office and sit down for 5.5 hours and have a conversation with them, but you can on the golf course. So it's the secret sauce at the Pure.
Kirk, for the golf fans out there, let's talk a little bit about the COVID situation, getting back to playing. I know you guys are probably all very anxious and excited that you've been able to get out and play. Um, I know that the regular PGA Tour has some charter situations, and I was looking at the schedule, and there's one week where you go from Sioux Falls to Pebble Beach. Um, that's a unique route. Um, Give us a little feel of what happens with the travel and that type of situation on the Champions Tour.
Well, first of all, with the shutdown, I feel like we were pretty fortunate that, you know, golf was sort of an allowable or an acceptable activity, right? You didn't have to kind of go out and practice and do things, you know, in secret. I know there was some shutdowns for quite a while in California because you were all over here at TPC Scottsdale at my course while your courses were shut down. So in Arizona, we never really closed our golf courses. And, you know, it seems to be not just sort of a safe way to do things with people, but also an acceptable way, which, you know, as everybody's trying to find new ways to sort of live with this pandemic, those things are kind of few and far between. So kudos to the PGA Tour, I think, for kind of recognizing that and maybe forcing the issue a little bit by being kind of one of the first sports to get going again, but being able to create a bubble around the golf course and a bubble around the travel. So now the Champions Tour, we don't have quite as rigorous of a setup as the PGA Tour, but we still test. Like I'm going to Sioux Falls on Monday. I did a test yesterday. I'll find out the results on Saturday. If I'm negative, I'm allowed to go to the site, but before I can enter the site, I have to be tested again. So, and there's testing that way each week. Each time you go outside of the bubble, you have to test again before you are allowed to make the trip back in, and then test again when you're there. So it's nice that we have the availability of these tests, that they're willing to do it. We have a partnership on the Champions Tour with Sanford Health. They have a mobile lab that comes and kind of takes care of I think it's about 500 people each week. Steve probably knows the answer better than I do about the number of people that are sort of cleared to be on the site. So you mentioned a charter flight. Yeah, getting from Sioux Falls to Pebble Beach used to be, you know, a couple of plane changes, maybe a horse-drawn carriage and, you know, a car ride. And, yeah. But we have arranged on some of these awkward trips to have a charter flight on the Monday. So that's a pretty neat deal. If you ever needed to set up charter flights, now's the time, because anybody that's tried to travel realizes that there's planes sitting idle everywhere. And that's probably when I made my first trip back to Detroit, coming out of the pandemic there, or playing for the first time. It was a pretty somber experience in the airports and on the planes, and, you know, everybody's got masks on and doing their thing. And I'm pretty impressed as I travel with people's commitment to, you know, wearing masks, doing the social distancing and doing the stuff. I've seen very, very few instances of people just being, you know, openly against that. I think people are starting to really understand that when everybody does this, the cases go down. So right. Regardless of what messaging you're getting or where you get your messaging, I think if you look at the numbers and follow the cases, when you see people following the guidelines, things get better.
Steve, we've gone about 8 minutes and we haven't seen you make a golf swing here, so I feel bad about that. But let me kind of keep going on this course of conversation with you. I think golf has really performed well, as Kirk alluded to, that, you know, other sports have had stop and starts, and golf seems to be very applicable to being able to play in this situation. You know, it's not necessarily a contact sport unless you make a hole in one and you have an inkling to want to high five your caddy and your playing partners. But I think golf has really been a shining star through all this.
Yeah, well, there's natural social distancing with the game, so and you're outside, it's safe. But the tour has done a great job. Jay Monahan put that plan together, the return to golf, and this COVID task force is pretty much every tournament has a COVID task force to maintain the bubble that Kirk was referencing, and we're doing the same thing. Yes, the number's 550 as far as testing. We'll test everybody, the pros and the caddies. If the pros have a +1, wives, girlfriends, whatever, we test them. We test the amateurs, the amateur caddies, and some volunteers and some staff here at Pebble Beach as well to create a bubble. It's very difficult to maintain the bubble at Pebble Beach Resort, but we're going to do our best. The academy will become home base for everyone. There's no shuttles. We'll be using golf cart shuttles. I mean, I'm sorry, there's shuttles, but it's not. You can't go inside a van. So there's a lot of things that are basic, and it's really just being safe, as Kirk references. People recognize what the world's about now, and they're staying to protocol, and they're maintaining. It's a simple thing to do, and if you don't, you're really risking. It's a huge risk, and that's one of the reasons we didn't bring the juniors out this year. We made that decision several months ago because we just couldn't risk having the children fly across the country, many for the very first time. So optically, it wouldn't have been a good decision either. But I think we made the right decision. It's a one-off year. We're looking at it. Our sponsor stayed with us. Title sponsor, Pure Insurance, and Ross Buckner believes in what we're doing and loves the First Tee program itself. So we're very fortunate to have them as a title sponsor. And obviously, playing at Pebble Beach is quite nice as well. So we're looking for a great week.
As it is for you right now, which is, like you say, a site visit. I'm being joined. That's Steve John, the executive director of the AT&T Pro-Am and the Pure Insurance Open, and Kirk Triplett, Champions Tour player, multiple tour winner, Korn Ferry Tour winner, Champions Tour. You got it all covered. And Kirk, talk about the kids again. It'll be too bad this year, but the spirit will be there, and I know that's been a big deal for you. And I think many of us that grew up playing junior golf and high school golf and college golf, to see these kids about ready to step into those type of venues, is got to be fun to see as well. And I know there's a couple on the PGA Tour now that are former First Tee kids, as they're called, and I know you've been a great advocate of all of that.
Yeah, I've done things with the First Tee. Most professionals have, kind of since it's got started. I mean, we were one of the primary organizations. There were 3 or 4 that grouped together to, try and come up with a model. And I think, originally they started out with facilities, and now it's become more about the programming than it is about the facilities. And, the 9 core values, and just getting kids in an environment that they sort of learn by accident, right? Golf's a great vehicle for that. You can learn a lot about life and what are some of the important skills that you need in life just by learning how to deal with your golf. So, and then when this tournament came along, it's one thing to just kind of expose the kids to this a couple times a week, but, some kids, that was enough. Some kids are kind of in the middle, and then some kids want to take this thing as far as they can take it, serving in their communities, dedicating themselves to their schoolwork, improving their golf, right? The kids that pursue those 3 things, and become sort of the best in their area, they get the opportunity and the great reward of coming to play in this First Tee event at Pebble Beach. So it's a real hook for them, to get out there and do it. And I think what's maybe a lot of people don't know is the skill level varies tremendously among the 81 kids, but they all have to go there and play scratch, against each other. So you can have a potential All-American, or you can have a 6 or 7 handicap. So, but the one thing that the kids all have in common is they really, really live those 9 core values of the First Tee. And that's very obvious when you deal with them and play golf with them. So, and I try and keep track. I've played 7 or 8, 9 times now. So, I know what a bunch of them are doing, and, they're out in the workforce and doing their thing, or they're in college playing on their college golf teams. And I kind of keep an eye on them from afar. And then during the week each year, I usually try and send them an email, each one of them that I stay in contact with, and say, hey, remember when we did this? So,
wow, that's a great effort.
Fun for me.
Yeah, that's great.
And I think that they should promote this a little bit more. Every couple 3 years, promote what the alumni are doing, right? Because not to sell the program or anything, but for the kids themselves, right? Because one of the most important things when you're a teenager is to see an example of a path that you might be able to follow, right? And yeah, you might not be able to be a college All-American, but you know what? You might be able to go to school and get a degree in computer science and, you know, work at a startup firm, right? And you have kids that are they're looking for a path. And when you can show them, hey, this person's just kind of like you and 4 or 5 years ahead of you, and this is what they did, I think that would be a tremendous value to share with these kids that come to the tournament every year.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I'll tell you what, let me tell one little quick first tee story, and we'll let Steve go, and then I'll wrap up with Kirk here. I picked up my 7-year-old grandson at Harding Park at the first tee about a year and a half ago, and I said, William, how'd it go today? He goes, it was okay. I said, you want to come back? He goes, no. I said, what happened? He goes, I didn't get to hit to my driver very often.
It's not about golf.
Yeah, even for young kids, they love hitting the long ball.
I love it.
Steve, thanks so much for helping set this up, and we'll chat soon.
Yeah, thanks, John. Kirk, we'll see you in a week or so. Let us
All
know
right, sounds good.
Defending champion. Woo!
Looking forward to it.
All right, pal. Thanks for everything you do for the first tee and the foundation. You're tremendous. Thank you. You too, John.
All right, you got it. Talk to you. There he is. That's the 7th hole, and that's Steve John going away. And we even had to. I noticed he had to switch arms a couple times. We kept him so long, and so I'm going to give a little commercial plug here. We're sponsored by Original Joe's of Westlake, where I bet Kirk has eaten over the years. They're great friends of ours, and they're doing a great job with takeout. Even their suppliers said they're doing the best job of most of the folks there. So I know with a couple of your college teammates being San Francisco based, you've played around that area. And I have a quick question. I hear there's a couple of basketball stories that happened with you and a couple of your guys. Could Matt Bauman and Dana Banky, could either of them dunk the ball?
We had a golf team, intramural basketball team, if you can believe that. A couple guys were players. So I don't know I know Dana couldn't dunk. Matt was a pretty good athlete. I don't think I ever saw him dunk. That might be no. There's no way he could have dunked.
That's right. He's
well balanced. A game one time, and Dana doesn't really know the game of basketball very well, and the game's close, but we're ahead with a few seconds to go, and Dana's in the game, and this guy comes over and intentionally fouls him, and pretty hard, making sure he got the call. And Dana didn't really understand the strategy. He thought the guy was just mad and wanted to fight him, right? So Dana's all ready to fight this guy. When all he was doing is intentionally fouling him so he could shoot free throws. And we got him calmed down. And I think he made the free throws, which is miraculous in itself. But golfers have good concentration and focus. But that's my Dana Banky basketball story. But we used to come down. Michael Allen and Matt were members at Olympic Club.
Yep.
And not a lot of times, but a handful of times we all played at University of Nevada. We would come down after school on Friday, stop at the downtown club, play basketball, swim, then play 36 holes a day, and then go back to school on Monday. And I'll tell you what a great thing to be able to do. A kid from Pullman, Washington, going out and playing, 36, 54, 72 holes at the Olympic Club in a weekend. That was a real eye-opener for me, and really made me fall in love with that area. So, and just a quick story about your sponsor, Joe's of Westlake. In 1987, I qualified for the U.S. Open. I wasn't on tour yet.
Nice.
And we went up there and practicing, getting ready for the tournament. We decided to eat at that Joe's of Westlake one night. And I had eaten there before, like during school with those guys. They had showed me the place. And I'm in there with my mom and dad, and Jack Nicklaus is in there.
Wow.
Right. And he's got this cool booth and a few people, and we're kind of maybe 3 or 4 booths away. And I'll bet you 20 people went up to Jack Nicklaus while he's eating dinner, right? Like mid-bite. Hey, Jack, I remember when you won this and you won that. And every time, put his utensil down, took his napkin, looked the person in the eye, said, thanks for coming over. Thanks for saying that. And I left that dinner just with such a, wow, that guy's pretty impressive to, deal with all that. Now, of course, looking back on it, I realized he wouldn't have gone there, unless he knew that, hey, that's what he was going to be doing for 2 hours, right? So, but I just remember that was sort of my first, not up close, but exposure to Jack Nicklaus and seeing, what one of the greatest, the greatest player in the world has to deal with.
Well, and imagine he's got to go through that every single day, anywhere he'd be, and walk, I mean, he doesn't necessarily have to walk through an airport, but or he's probably got people that go to Walgreens for him, and all that. But yeah, restaurants. That's a great story. So cool stuff. Kirk, thank you so much. Good luck next week in Sioux Falls, and then good luck at Pebble the week after. What a dichotomy of views. I'm sure where you're playing in Sioux Falls has got some great beauty to it, and continued success. You've got a number of top 20s this year. That's a good momentum starter for getting you back to your great victory ground at Pebble Beach.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I get to go see my friend Laird Small, who's worked on my game for about 25, 30 years. So I took a nice lesson about 2 days before they shut this whole thing down. So
I see Laird. I see Laird at our PGA senior stuff. I'm on the PGA board and playing some of the local, senior events, and he's had a couple of good events and won a couple of things. So he's doing well and got a good spirit, great spirit for the game of golf. And Pebble seems to be a great fit for him for many years that he's been there. So cool stuff. Thank you so much, and we'll stay in touch, and we'll certainly watch what Kirk Triplett does the rest of the Champions season, and play good today and practice up and get ready for it.
Thanks, John.
All right, we'll see you again soon. All right, there's Kirk Triplett, and thanks to him and to Steve John for